Hey everyone, welcome back. We're diving into some fascinating stuff today. We've got some material on boosting your confidence and communication skills, specifically when interacting with women.
Okay.
So that might sound a little specific, but trust me, there's some gold here for anyone looking to be more present and engaging in AOA conversation.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like one thing that really jumped out at me from the source was this idea that embracing imperfection can actually make you more attractive. And that kind of goes against everything we're usually told. But
Right. Like we should be striving for perfection all the time.
exactly. So I'm curious to get your take on that. How does that work?
It's funny because so many people try to project this image of being flawless, thinking that's what makes them appealing. But the reality is trying to be perfect can actually backfire.
Okay, so why would embracing imperfection be more attractive?
Well, think about it. When you're so focused on being perfect, you're constantly worried about making mistakes, saying the wrong thing. You're not really present in the moment.
All right, you're too in your head.
Exactly. And this source material really emphasizes the power of shifting your focus outward. Instead of obsessing over your own performance, really tune in to the person you're with.
So almost like being a detective.
Yes, but in a good way. When you're truly present in the interaction, noticing their voice, their body language, those subtle cues,
That makes a lot of sense.
you actually quiet that inner critic that's always saying you're not good enough.
Yeah, the one that's always telling you you're messing up.
Exactly. You're not stuck in your own head anymore worrying about how you're coming across.
And I bet that makes you a better listener too.
Oh, absolutely. And the source highlights just how attractive that kind of presence can be. It signals confidence, attentiveness, genuine interest, qualities that really make you stand out.
Okay, so focusing outward helps you quiet the inner critic and be more present.
Right.
But what about when you actually do mess up? Like you mispronounce someone's name, trip over
Yeah.
your words. Is that where embracing imperfection comes in?
Exactly. The source actually gives this great example of mispronouncing someone's name and turning it into a joke, acknowledging the flub with some self-deprecating humor.
So it's almost like you're breaking the ice by being the first one to make a mistake.
That's a great way to put it. It's about creating a space where it's okay to be human, to be imperfect.
Right, because we all make mistakes.
We all do, and that kind of authenticity is incredibly attractive, It makes you relatable, approachable.
It's funny because we often try to hide our flaws, but maybe those imperfections are what make us unique and interesting.
Precisely. People are drawn to those who are genuine, flaws and all. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how perfect people can sometimes be a bit intimidating?
Yeah, or off-putting.
Exactly. Like you can't relate to them on a human level.
There's no common ground.
Exactly. So by embracing your imperfections, you're creating a connection.
A sense of shared humanity.
Exactly.
This is really making me rethink my whole approach to confidence. So we've got shifting focus, embracing imperfection. What's next?
Well, this is where the idea of presence gets really interesting. And the source goes beyond just being physically present in a conversation.
Oh.
It's about being fully engaged mentally and emotionally, like completely tuned into the moment, not just going through the motions.
I think that builds on what we were saying about focusing outward.
Yeah.
It's hard to be truly present if you're stuck in your own head.
It is, and the source suggests things like mindfulness techniques to help cultivate this kind of presence.
Oh, like taking a few deep breaths, grounding yourself.
Exactly. Noticing the sensations in your body, these can bring you back to the present moment and quiet those racing thoughts.
I've always thought about mindfulness for like stress reduction, but I never thought to apply it to social situations.
It's incredibly powerful, and the source talks about how it can help manage anxiety, which can be a huge obstacle to confidence.
So by cultivating presence, you're not only more engaged in the conversation, but also more comfortable and at ease.
Exactly, and that ease translates into confidence, because you're not fighting against those anxious thoughts.
You're free to be yourself, to express yourself authentically.
This is really starting to click for me.
Good.
I'm seeing how all these pieces fit together. So we've got focusing outward, embracing imperfection, cultivating presence. What else is in this confidence toolkit?
Well, the source also talks about this really fun concept of playful banter.
Oh yeah, using humor to keep things light and fun.
Yeah. It even mentions that whole pineapple on pizza debate as an example.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all about teasing, joking around, not taking things too seriously.
Right, but of course there's some caveats.
I was just thinking that, like, how do you make sure your playful banter doesn't come across as, offensive?
That's where paying attention to the other person's cues comes in. Reading their reactions, body language, tone of voice, What one person finds funny, another might find offensive, so you always want to err on the side of caution.
It's like a dance, right?
Yeah.
You're constantly adjusting based on your partner's movements.
That's a great way to put it. You're in sync with the other person, attuned to their energy, and I can imagine, when it's done well, playful banter creates a sense of connection, shared humor.
Absolutely. It makes conversations way more enjoyable and memorable.
Okay, so playful banter, used with caution, but don't be afraid to inject some humor into your interactions. What else does this source material cover?
This next point is one that really hit home for me.
Okay.
It's about the trap of seeking constant validation, this tendency to look to others for approval,
Oh, wow, yeah.
base our self-worth on external things.
Compliments,
Yeah.
achievements.
And the source highlights how this need for validation can actually undermine our confidence.
Because we're giving our power away.
Exactly.
Oh.
Letting others dictate how we feel about ourselves.
It's like saying, I need you to like me in order for me to like myself.
Right. And the source encourages us to let go of that need for validation and cultivate a sense of self-assurance that comes from within.
Okay, but how do you actually do that? How do you build that inner confidence when you're so used to seeking approval from others?
That's the million-dollar question. And it's something we'll dive into deeper right after this.
Awesome. I'm ready to hear more.
Sounds good. So how do we build that inner confidence? It's a process, but the source has some good tips.
Okay, I'm all ears.
One thing it suggests is to focus on your strengths, accomplishments, those qualities that make you unique and valuable. It's about shifting your attention away from what you lack and celebrating what you do bring to the table.
So kind of like creating an internal inventory of all the awesome things about yourself.
Yes. And it doesn't have to be just the big things.
Right.
Even small things, like maybe you're really good at making people laugh, or you have a knack for remembering details.
I like that.
These are all strengths, right?
Yeah.
They contribute to who you are.
It's about appreciating all those little things that often go unnoticed.
Exactly. The source also talks about setting realistic goals and challenging yourself to step outside your comfort zone.
I can see how that would help.
The more you accomplish, the more confident you become.
It's like that feeling after a tough workout.
Yes. Or completing a challenging project.
Exactly. Each success builds on the last.
It reinforces your belief in yourself.
Okay, so focus on strengths, set realistic goals, challenge myself.
Sounds like a plan, right?
It does. It sounds like a good recipe for building unshakable confidence.
It is. And remember, it's a journey, not a destination. There will be setbacks, moments of self-doubt.
Of course.
The key is to be patient with yourself and keep moving forward.
I think what's really hitting home for me is this idea that confidence isn't about being perfect
Right.
or always knowing the right thing to say. It's about being comfortable in your own skin
Absolutely. Embracing those imperfections.
and showing up authentically.
Couldn't agree more.
Right.
And speaking of showing up authentically, the source also touches on the importance of vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
Yeah, like letting your guard down a little,
Yeah.
allowing yourself to be seen for who you truly are.
I think a lot of people, especially men, are taught to kind of suppress their emotions,
Right.
you know?
Right, project that image of strength and stoicism. But the source suggests that true strength lies in the courage to be vulnerable.
Interesting.
It gives examples like sharing a meaningful childhood memory or talking about a personal challenge you've overcome.
I can see how that kind of vulnerability could create a real sense of intimacy and trust.
Absolutely, because you're sharing a part of yourself that you don't usually reveal.
You're letting someone in?
Exactly. It creates a bond, a connection that goes beyond that surface level.
So vulnerability, it's not a weakness, it's actually a strength.
Exactly, a sign of authenticity and courage.
And it can be attractive because it shows you're comfortable with who you are.
Flaws and all.
You know, this is making me realize how much our nonverbal communication plays a role in how we come across.
Absolutely. The source has a whole section on mastering nonverbal cues.
Really?
Yeah, like eye contact, body language, even smiling.
I've always struggled with eye contact. It feels so intense sometimes.
I know what you mean, but the source points out that good eye contact conveys interest, respect, engagement.
Right. Shows you're present.
Exactly, and it doesn't have to be a staring contest.
Yeah.
Just finding that balance that feels natural and comfortable.
So eye contact that feels genuine, not forced or awkward.
Exactly. And the source also talks about smiling.
Okay.
Not a fake smile, but a genuine smile that reaches your eyes.
Makes you more approachable.
Instantly more likable.
I can see how a smile could make a big difference.
It sends that message of warmth, openness,
It's inviting.
inviting people to connect with you.
These nonverbal cues are so powerful.
They are. And speaking of making an impact, the source also highlights active listening.
Ooh, active listening. I think I could use some work on that.
We've all been there.
Sometimes I'm so focused on what I'm going to say that I miss what the other person's saying.
I get it.
Yeah.
But the source reminds us that active listening is crucial for building rapport and showing interest, you know?
So it's not just hearing the words.
No, it's about understanding the message.
Mm.
It involves nodding along, asking clarifying questions, reflecting back what you've heard.
Showing you're paying attention.
Exactly. It creates that space where the other person feels heard and validated.
I like that.
And that feeling is so important for building trust and connection.
I need to work on my listening skills.
Well, remember, it's a practice.
Right.
It's just like everything else we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
The more you focus on being present and attentive, the better you'll become.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed with all this information and think you have to master it all at once.
Absolutely. And that's why the source breaks things down into manageable steps.
Okay.
Remember, it's progress, not perfection.
This whole conversation is making me realize that confidence is a journey, not a destination.
It is, and the source emphasizes it's a journey worth taking.
Mm-hmm.
The rewards are huge.
What are they?
When you cultivate genuine confidence, you open yourself up to so many possibilities.
Like what?
You feel more comfortable pursuing your goals, taking risks, connecting with others on a deeper level.
It unlocks a whole new level of living.
Exactly. And it all starts with taking that first step, making that commitment to invest in yourself and your growth.
This has been so eye-opening.
I'm glad you're getting so much out of it.
I feel like I have a whole new understanding of confidence and how to approach interactions with more intention
That's great to hear.
and ease.
Awesome. Remember, you already possess all the qualities you need to be confident.
I do.
You do. It's about uncovering those qualities, nurturing them, and letting them shine through.
Speaking of shining through, the source also talks about leading the interaction.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
I think this is where a lot of people get stuck.
How so?
We don't want to be pushy or domineering,
Right.
so we shy away from taking the lead.
I hear that.
But the source makes it clear that leading the interaction isn't about controlling the conversation or forcing your agenda.
It's not about that.
It's about guiding the conversation with confidence, making sure everyone feels comfortable and engaged.
Creating that shared experience where everyone's contributing, having a good time.
Exactly.
It's about taking initiatives, suggesting topics, asking open-ended questions.
Right, setting the tone, creating a positive atmosphere.
Exactly. And the source gives some examples, like instead of, did you have a good weekend?
Right.
You could ask, what was the highlight of your weekend?
That's much better.
It encourages a more detailed response.
It shows genuine interest.
Yeah, and it leads to a more meaningful conversation.
It's those small changes that can make a big difference.
Absolutely.
You know, leading the interaction, it ties back to being present and engaged. You can't lead if you're not tuned in.
That's true. All these confidence-boosting strategies work together.
They do. It's like they're all pieces of the same puzzle.
Exactly. When you put them together, you create that image of confidence and authenticity.
And that draws people to you.
It does.
This has been such a great conversation.
Tess.
Nonverbal communication, active listening, leading the interaction.
Lots of good stuff.
It's all about building that genuine confidence.
From the inside out.
Yes. And I know our listeners are feeling inspired.
I hope so.
But before we dive into the final takeaway from this deep dive, I think we need to take a quick break.
Okay, sounds good.
We'll be right back with more insights to help you unlock your inner confidence and become a more engaging communicator. All right, we're back, ready to wrap up this deep dive into confidence and communication.
Yeah, this has been a really great conversation.
You know, one of the things that stood out to me is that confidence isn't something you're born with or without.
Right, it's not like some fixed trait.
Exactly. It's a skill set, a set of habits and behaviors that you can actually develop over time.
I love that perspective. It means anyone can learn to be more confident.
Exactly. No matter where you're starting from.
And this source material really does lay out a practical roadmap.
It does.
I mean, we've talked about shifting your focus outward, embracing imperfections, cultivating presence,
Playful banter, letting go of that need for validation.
vulnerability, mastering those nonverbal cues, active listening, leading the interaction.
Wow, that's a lot. But I think what connects all these strategies is authenticity. It's about showing up as your true self, not trying to be someone you're not.
And when you're authentic, you're not wasting energy trying to fit in or please others.
Right, you're free to be yourself.
And that freedom It's incredibly attractive.
It also makes you more resilient, don't you think?
Definitely. When you're comfortable in your own skin, criticism or rejection doesn't hit as hard.
Makes sense.
You're not relying on external validation because you've already validated yourself.
You know your worth, regardless of what anyone else thinks.
Exactly. And this source even talks about challenging those negative self-talk patterns.
Oh, those voices in our heads that tell us we're not good enough.
Yeah, because those can really sabotage our confidence.
They can.
And it suggests using things like mindfulness techniques to notice those patterns and detach from them.
So it's not about eliminating those negative thoughts, but learning to recognize them.
And choosing not to let them control you.
It's like taking back your power.
Exactly. Developing a more objective perspective.
Seeing them for what they are. Just thoughts, not facts.
Right. And the more you practice these confidence-boosting skills, the less power those negative thoughts have over you.
It's like building a muscle.
It is. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
And as your confidence grows, you take more risks, achieve more success.
Which reinforces your belief in yourself. It's a positive feedback loop.
So it's about taking action, even when you don't feel completely confident.
It is pushing yourself outside that comfort zone.
Trusting you have what it takes to succeed.
You got it.
As we wrap up, I keep coming back to this idea of confidence as a journey.
Yeah.
It's not a destination you arrive at. It's an ongoing process.
Of growth, self-discovery.
The source really drives that point home.
It does. It says it's a journey worth taking.
And the rewards are huge.
They are. More comfortable pursuing your goals, taking risks, connecting with others more deeply.
Like we were saying, it unlocks a whole new level of living.
It does. And it all starts with that commitment to invest in yourself and your growth.
This has been such a great conversation. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of confidence
I'm glad.
and how to approach interactions with more ease, more intention.
I feel the same way. It's been a pleasure exploring all these ideas with you.
And for our listeners who are feeling inspired.
Yeah, for everyone out there.
Here's a final thought-provoking question to consider as you continue on your own confidence-building journey. What's one small change you can make in your very next conversation to be more present and engaging?
That's a good one. Maybe it's making more eye contact.
Right, or asking a more open-ended question.
Or even sharing a little anecdote.
Something that connects with what the other person is saying?
Yeah, the key is to take action, put these principles into practice.
Absolutely. Progress over perfection, celebrate the small wins, learn from those missteps, and keep moving forward on this journey.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been fun.
Until next time, keep those conversations flowing.